Hi everyone, this is this week's Lockdown Assembly. I want to use this week's assembly to talk about resilience. Resilience is one of our school character values, one of our 5 R's. I know from talking to students in some of my online lessons and from talking to people at school that now being 3 or 4 weeks into this new lockdown, we're starting to struggle a little bit. And resilience is becoming more and more important as we get through it. I'm going to use the Queens Gambit to tell a story about resilience. I imagine that most of you have either seen or have heard of the Queens Gambit. It's one of the most popular shows on Netflix at the moment. The story on Netflix is based on a book by the same name. It tells the story of a young girl who was orphaned and became a child prodigy in chess. It's very dark. It's a very dark sports underdog story. I'm not going to tell the story in this week's assembly. I would like to tell the story of the story and how that highlights the importance of resilience. The Queen's Gambit has been viewed 62 million times on Netflix. A view on Netflix is anything that has been looked at for more than 2 minutes. Once you watch something on Netflix for more than 2 minutes, that counts as a view. In its first 28 days, the Queen's Gambit set the record. It had the highest number of views on Netflix of any show in its first 28 days. It is the most viewed show on Netflix, or has been the most viewed show on Netflix in 63 different countries. The book was first written and published in 1983. And 37 years later, the book made its way onto the New York Times bestseller list off the back of the success of the Netflix show. 37 years after it was published, the book became a bestseller. Rights to the screenplay were purchased 30 years ago, and the person who had the rights and wrote the screenplay has been working for 30 years to try and get someone to produce it. In that time, he's been around, he's gone to different TV studios and movie companies, and he's been knocked back every time. Been told that no one would be interested in something about chess. It's boring. You need to change it. You need to do this. So the original screenplay, and since it's been changed 9 times, it's had 9 different rewrites over a 30-year period, while the writer persevered, showed resilience, kept getting knocked back, kept going, and then eventually it was picked up by Netflix. The guy who had the rights and the screenwriter was actually ill in hospital with COVID when he found out that it had been picked up and was launched on Netflix. Someone showed him the first episode while he was in hospital, and he was quite delirious at the time, and the story is that he was so delirious he thought he was being shown it, being told, you need to go away and rewrite this again for the 10th time. And he had this vision of what he wanted it to be, and showing 30 years and 9 rewrites of perseverance and resilience, he finally got there. That story was made famous around sort of Christmas and New Year time off the back of this tweet. The producer did the rounds on telly, and this tweet went viral. It ended up getting over 500,000 likes, and you may have seen it, but it tells that story of perseverance and resilience. The Queen's Gambit has been viewed by 62 million people. The producer, Alan Scott, is on BBC News talking about how it took 30 years with 9 rewrites, and every studio he showed it to said that no one would be interested in chess. Please persevere with that thing that you're making. Be resilient. Don't get too disappointed by knockbacks. Don't let that stop what you're doing. Keep going. And I think we can all probably take a little bit of that at the moment and use that idea of resilience to get us through the next few weeks. None of us can control this lockdown, and we're all finding it tough. If you are finding it tough, think about what you can do. First of all, control what you can control. There is no point worrying about things that you cannot control. None of us have any control over this lockdown, but we can control how we deal with it and what we do during the day. We are all finding online learning tough and different. We are all missing seeing each other, and we're missing those bits of school life that we all look forward to. We can't control that, but we can control how we deal with online learning and working from home, and we can make the most of it. If you are struggling, let someone know that you're struggling. Reach out to someone. If someone else is struggling, you can reach out to them to help them, and they will return the favour at some point. I'd like people to make a promise to themselves off the back of this assembly. Make a commitment to try to reach out to someone. Phone a friend, speak to someone, send them a message that you might normally not send. It might be a FaceTime. Just reach out to someone. Might be a friend, might be a family member that you've not spoken to for a long time. Make that effort to reach out to someone, because you will get that favour back in return. Do all the normal things that we've talked about before that you should be doing to encourage sort of mental well-being and resilience and everything else. Have a good routine in the evening when you go into bed. Don't stare at your phone and blue light well into the night. Try to get a good routine going, good pattern to sleep. Wake up at a good time. Get yourself set up in a routine for the school day. Do your best in the online lessons. Okay, you have the choice of how you deal with them. You can sit there quietly with the mic off and the camera off, and you can sit there just passively listening to what's happening behind a screen. Or you can choose to be actively involved in it. You might turn your camera on. You might turn your mic on to answer a question when asked. If you turn your camera on, someone sees your face, you see someone else's face. That makes the lesson more bearable. I promise, as the teacher, there is nothing worse than trying to deliver a lesson at a screen to 28 tiled faces or tiled letters with your name with mics off. We can all do our little bit to make this better. Last week's house challenge was put together by the dance department, and thank you to those guys for doing that, and well done to everybody who got involved. We had lots of people get involved last week. Remember, 5 points for every house challenge that you get involved in, and then an additional 10, 20 or 30 if you are selected as the top 3. So here are last week's winners. Well done to Isabella and Evie, to Grace and to Abigail. Well done, guys. An additional 10, 20 and 30 house points for you guys. This week's house challenge is from the humanities faculty, and it's perfect timing. When the weather's not great and we can't really go anywhere, we can do some virtual travel. We would like you to use Google Earth or Google Maps to visit some important religious, geographical or historical sites. Make a list of everywhere you visit, pick one of the places and write a travel review on that place. Marks will be awarded for not only the range of visits, so the more places you visit the better, but also the quality of your travel review. Email your results to Mr. Shaw by the end of the week, by the end of school on Friday, and then I will announce the winner in next week's assembly. Well done, guys. It's always tough around sort of 3 or 4 weeks into it. 3 or 4 weeks into January is always the time where people quit on their New Year's resolutions. People stop the diet that they've started. People stop going to the gym that they've joined. People start smoking again. All those promises that they've made to themselves. It's normally 3 or 4 weeks in when it gets tough. We're at that point now, so being resilient is really important. So think about some of those steps that I was talking about. Focus on what you can control. Try to focus on the positives. Some people we know have started writing what's called a gratitude journal, which seems to be quite a positive thing for mindfulness at the moment, where you write 3 things at the end of every day or every week that you're grateful for. You focus on the positives. Do your bit in lessons, make those better. Turn cameras on, turn mics on, answer questions, reach out to your friends, reach out to family, help them out. Get yourself a good routine set up, get outside where you can safely, get involved in your exercise, get involved in your PE lessons. Exercise does wonders for health and well-being. And we will get there, guys. We're all in this together and we will all get through it. Thanks everyone, have a great week, and I will see you all soon.